online class with me Nusrat Alam, lecturer in English, Milestone College. How are you all, my dear students? I believe you all are fine and very busy with your studies right now. My today's class is on English first paper, and let us see whether we can learn something new from our today's class. You all must have heard the name of Martin Luther King Jr. He was an African-American Baptist minister and activist who became the most visible spokesman and leader in the American civil rights movement. He was born in Georgia, United States. From his childhood, he noticed racism in his land. As he was a black child, he saw that he was not even allowed to play with his white friends. He saw separate schools for white children and black children, even separate playgrounds for them. So in his later life, he struggled a lot to establish equal right for all Americans. Today, we are going to study the famous speech made by Martin Luther King Jr., I Have a Dream, from your EFT book, Unit 3, Lesson 4. After reading the speech or passage, we will attempt MCQ and short question answer from there. And according to your revised syllabus, the total mark for MCQ item is 10 and for short question answer is 15. So before you hear me reading his lines, let's hear the speech from his own magnificent voice.
50 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
I Have a Dream is a public speech delivered by Martin Luther King Jr. during the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom on 28 August 1963, in which he called for civil and economic right for all Americans and an end to racism. And it is one of the most iconic speeches in the history of America. Now, let us read the text carefully.
The exercise that we are going to practice today has been taken from Navodut HSC test papers, special model question number 60. Let's read the passage carefully. This is the abridged version of the famous speech delivered by Martin Luther King. The Negro is still not free. The life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. That means the life of the Negroes are crippled or made lame or malfunctioned by the manacles. Manacles means chain of segregation. Chain of what? Chain of isolation. And the chains of discrimination also. The Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. Here, the writer allegorically used this line to show that how are they kept isolated from the material prosperity of their own land. The Negro is still languishing in the corners of American society and finds himself an exile in his own land. The Negroes are made fade, that means they are not valued properly in the corners of American society, and they find himself an exile. They find themselves to be so exiled, so displaced or isolated in their own land. So we have come here today to dramatize a shameful condition. I say to you today, my friends, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. Here, the speaker seems to be optimistic. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream, and his dream is similar to that of American dream. Well, American dream is actually an ideal by which equality of opportunity is available to any American. And he believes that being an American, all the people, Negro or white, have the right to get all the opportunities that this nation is going to offer. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. Creed means ideology, that they will believe the ideology that we hold these truths to be self evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, that one day, right down in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. Here, interposition means interference and nullification means cancel or cancellation.
Now, my dear students, we will attempt some multiple choice questions from this passage. Before doing that, let me tell you what is a multiple choice question. A multiple choice question or MCQ is a form of objective assessment where a candidate is given four options with one correct answer and three distractors. Here, the candidate has to pick up the right option. MCQ item has a purpose to assess a candidate's knowledge on particular area. If the student or candidate is well aware about that particular area, he would be able to answer it properly. And the candidate has to choose only the correct answers from the options offered as a list. My dear students, do you want to know who developed this MCQ or multiple choice question? Although E.L. Thorndike developed an early scientific approach of testing students, it was his assistant Benjamin D. Wood who developed this MCQ test. The first complete MCQ exam was developed in St. Edward's School in England. These kind of tests became popular in the mid-20th centuries. Now let us attempt the MCQs and let's try whether we can find out the correct answer or not. I'm sure you all are going to participate with me.
Now let's attempt multiple choice questions and question answers. Choose the correct answer from the alternatives. The first question says, what does the word discrimination mean? Animosity, discrepancy, affinity, amicability. Here I have given the meaning also. So what do you think, my dear students, what could be the answer? The meaning of discrimination is discrepancy or imbalance. Number 2, what does the word dramatize mean in the passage? Well, dramatize, does it mean demonstrate, act out, represent, present? Dramatize means, in this passage, it means to act out. Number 3, to Martin Luther King Jr., the true meaning of the creed of American dream is equality of people, equality of rights, equanimity of children, equity of justice. Here, the answer is equity of justice. What is the synonym of the word vicious? Does it mean polluted, contaminated, poisoned, savage? The answer is savage. What is the antonym of the word segregation? Is it liberation, integration, distortion, or movement? Disintegration. Well, segregation means disintegration, so the antonym or opposite of disintegration is integration. So the answer is number 2, integration. Number 6, the Negro finds himself an exile. Where does he find himself in exile? In foreign countries, in American society, throughout the world, in his own land. According to the text, answer is in his own land. Number 7, the purpose of the author of the passage is to show the picture of the world, to highlight that all men are created equal, to show the picture of the Negro, to highlight our right. Here the answer is to highlight that all men are created equal. People are judged by the color of their skin signifies blue blood, anarchy, racism, Gentile. Here, if people are judged by their color of the skin, it means racism. Next question says, the word in transform mentioned in the passage means persist, hold, convert, remain. Answer is transform means convert. A beautiful symphony of brotherhood. Here the underlined word refers to, it means symphony refers to communication, sympathy, feeling, or consciousness. Answer is feeling.
My dear students, did you attempt the MCQs? I believe you did. Now we are going to attempt some short question answers. Well, let me tell you, there are two types of questions. Number 1, close-ended question. Number 2, open-ended questions. The answer of a close-ended question ends within a word or within a sentence. But an open-ended question requires an elaborate answer comparing to a close-ended question. So now let's attempt the questions.
Now let's attempt short question answers. And the total mark of these short questions answers is 15. The first question says, who are the Negro people mentioned in the speech of Martin Luther King Jr.? Here, the Negro mentioned in the passage are the black-colored American people who are oppressed in an inhuman way by the white-colored people of America only because of their black skin color. Next question says, what did the Negro people come to convey? Here, according to the speech or basing on the speech, they have come forward to, the Negro people came to convey to the eyes of the world on 28 August 1963 that they are victims of racial segregation and discrimination. They being judged on the basis of color are suffering inhumanly in the corners of American society and living on a lonely island of poverty. Question number C. What was the dream of Martin Luther King Jr. about the United States of America? Well, he has described a number of his dreams. The dream of Martin Luther King Jr. about the United States of America was that one day American people, getting rid of all kinds of injustice and discrimination, would live in an oasis of freedom and justice. Then they would not be judged by the color, but by the quality of their character. What does the expression all men are created equal signify? All men are created equal signifies that the Almighty has created all human beings with equal rights, equal sense of feelings, justice, and self respect. This line also signifies that people on earth will enjoy equal rights in respect of honor, material things, religious freedom, etc. The last question that we have today is, what do the words interposition and nullification imply? We have seen these two words in the passage. The word interposition implies interference, and the word nullification implies annulment or invalidation. With these two words, the speaker described the condition of Negroes in America.
So, my dear students, I believe you enjoyed our today's class. With the hope of your better result and better education, I'm going to end up my today's class here. See you some other time with some other topic. Till then, bye-bye.